What's up, fight fans? Your boy P. Welsh here, bringing you UFC Fight Night. Whittaker de Ritter from UAE. 9-5 week. We won a little, few buckos. We got a nice, exciting card, which I think is a lot of possibilities. And we're starting off in the heavyweight division. A matchup I'm pretty fascinated about. I've probably done a lot more research than you need to about this fight. But Martin Budai versus Marcus Buchechnia. Budai 15-2, coming off a win against, Statlabov. And Buchechnia making his UFC debut, like 12-time BJJ world champion or something like that. Lots of experience. And yeah, you're looking at him to grapple here. You're looking to see if Budai can survive, gas him out. But this is the spot where I think, Buchechnia has got to be live for the sub. Budai's past against split decisions, Brevsky, Arlovsky, nothing too impressive. So, I think I'm heavy on Buchechnia sub. I think it could happen early. I think when there's these guys get down, there's just different levels, man. And I know they say Budai's a brown belt, but let's see it tested inside the octagon. And I think Buchechnia could sneak in. I've been trying to talk myself onto Budai money line because I think he can just gas out, but come on, I don't know. So I think Buchechnia could even sneak in a sneaky TKO. I was looking at the double chance, but I think I played on both. I played the submission and a round robin. So I like the Buchechnia sub. I think it's my biggest thing here is Budai is pretty damn big. So if it's a struggle to get him down, it could be a long day for Buchechnia. That's what I think is like the one factor people don't talk about is just the ability to actually get the guy down in MMA versus taking punches on the way in versus just closing the distance in BJJ. So I think that's the biggest X factor is the damage taken on the way in versus the ability to then have the energy to take him down, keep him down. But I mean, we don't think Budai's got a big ass tank here. So Buchechnia sub, Buchechnia finish, and let's go, baby. The people's main event here. I don't know how this isn't the co-main. Muhammad Yahya versus Steven Nguyen. Yahya 12-5 coming off a loss to Caio Fernandez versus Steven Nguyen 9-2 coming off a loss to Gianna Ahrens. Jesus. I was trying to figure out a way to get on this fight anyhow. I think his fight goes over. I think it could. I think this fight goes to the decision, and I think it's greasy. I think it's definitely like a split decision. I think it's super close. I think if you want to put money on this fight, you are just a degenerate gambler and looking to throw something down. I wanted to try and get on win by decision. I don't think Nguyen gets to finish. I just don't think these guys are finishers. So, this is at featherweight, so Yahya coming down a little bit, maybe have a little bit more of an advantage, but still, he's even outclassed in the size department there with, 2 inches on the height, same inch on the reach, similar experiences. It's really hard. I mean, Nguyen hasn't fought in so long to be a massive favorite like this, just doesn't feel exactly right, too. So, I kind of like Yahya, too. Maybe, I do. I kind of like him here. I don't know if it's really hard to actually want to pick this guy, but dude, just the more and more I talk about Steve Nguyen, it's the more and more. Okay, here's my thing, right? You guys been watching the videos. I've been losing on so many Asians early in the card. We're gonna go Steve Nguyen just out of pure respect. Even though he's American, they've been waxing us. So if we do lose, we know that is the factor coming in there. So they made him fight a bunch of contender series. He looks pretty good. I think he can do the damage at any point against Yahya to get the win. I think Yahya kind of has to win a greasy-ass decision. So that being said, we're going to go Steve Nguyen here. I think he just actually gets it done on the judges' scorecard. I think he does just look way more dominant in those times, and Yahya just doesn't do enough. I could see he's going to get, this is going to be one of those, wacky-ass scorecards. We're going to have 30-27 win, 37-27 Yahya, and then it's going to be 29-28 win or something like that. So, I don't know. Really greasy fight. Let's move on, baby. Next up, light heavyweight bout. Ibo Aslan versus Billy Elikana. Aslan, 14-12, coming off the submission loss to QT Laba. Billy Elikhan, I think he's coming off a loss to Bogdan Guskov here. Finished guillotine choke. Completely gassed out on short notice at the beginning of this year. So I doubt he was training over the holidays too. It was June 18th. Man, this is a straight fraud check for Ashland because if he can't get the job, I kind of feel like he has to have the power to get the finish, and I feel like Elikana. Man, bro, I'm just going back and forth. I mean, the pick has to be Aslan. I feel like I really want to get behind Billy, but like I really just don't know like what he's gonna be better at. Aslan is like, is he gonna be able to take him down? I don't really think so. Um, is he gonna be able to outstrike him? Maybe. He's got good length for the division, yeah, no doubt about it. But so does Aslan, and he's got definitely the edge in the power department. Yeah, this one, man, this is another one of those. These are kind of the two passes for me. I feel really good about most of the other fights. These two, I just don't really have complete faith in the favorite, and I have even less faith in the opponent. So it's just like you can't just pick the favorite because their opponent can't do anything. Like Aslan is definitely a liability to I don't know, to lose. He's definitely a liability to not show up, but I really do think he puts the big boy pants on. I think he gets a second round finish on Billy here. And it's just something I think he'll just hit him with like a nice combination. He'll like weaken the leg, hit him with the body shot, open him up for like a left. I think he'll just get him like very slow and methodically from doing some damage. That's where I think the power punches come in there, and I think that's where he's really going to end up getting I think the first finish of the card. I think Aslan is. I think there's going to be like way more submissions than KOs this fight. So I mean, I got but I think we could sneak a few more KOs in there. But I got Aslan in here. I think this is a KO spot. Because I just don't see these guys really having the most in the third round. And if it does get, I kind of like Billy if it gets to the third round, right? Like, he has been to decision quite a few times. Um, more so than Aslan, right? So who's never been to the decision. So that's another thing. If he can't get Billy out within 10 minutes, then I do think Aslan in the first two rounds is definitely big. That's where I kind of like that spot. So maybe we'll sprinkle him into like our something long shotters. Next up, we got the women's fight for the night, WMMA. Amanda Hebos versus Tabitha Ricci. Hebos 12-6 coming off a loss. Ricci 11-3 coming off a loss. 3-inch height advantage, 5-inch on the reach advantage for Hebos there. And yeah, I got Hebos here by decision. I think Hebos by even though she's got quite a few finishes, and I actually can see that happening because I think if there's something that happens here, it's a mismatch in the distance control. But I just really don't think I don't think Ricci's going to make that big of a mistake. I think she'll be very conservative. I think she'll slow the fight down, play more at distance, and I think this is Hebos spot. I got her on I think by decision in the round robin with my guy Buchechnia. So I think those are the two ways to start the fight for me in terms of action that I kind of like, because I really just do think this is a super close fight, but there is definitely an edge here, and I do think it could even be split decision as well, and you can just say you lucky to get it. But I think Amanda Hebos is just she's just going to produce more. She's going to do just a little bit more. She might even get a takedown in there that Ricci, just might not be able to get on her just because she might not be able to close the distance with taking the damage. And I just think Hebos is a pretty solid fighter. I mean, when you're able to do pretty good. I mean, the losses to Macy Barber isn't the best, and Caitlin Saramara. But, those are all close fights. So we'll see what happens here. I got Hebos. I think Hebos by decision. I'm not going to look too much more into that one because I think it can go either way. Just like this next fight here, we got men's bantamweight division. Davy Grant, 16-7, coming off a win versus Damon Blackshear. Damon Blackshear, I don't know exactly. 17-1-1, coming off a win. Been on a nice run. A few fights this year, right? This is going to be his at least third fight. He's a pretty active fighter since fifth fight since last year, getting knocked out by Montel Jackson. He's going for his fourth win in a row. He fought last April and March. And so a good time off for him. And I just think it's okay. So we're all worried about him, his submission game, throwing hands, getting a little too comfortable with Alatong Haley. Maybe he just didn't think he had the gas tank after a month off to really handle wrestling for 3 rounds, and that's why he just stand up because he knew he could beat him there. I mean, I think this is a clear like 50-50 fight, right? If Damon Blackshear takes him down, I think he finishes Davy Grant with a submission, however he wants. If he just wants to throw hands, I think Davy Grant can absolutely win. I think he's got unorthodox striking. I think he's got sneaky power, and I think he can find spots in Damon that he just won't be expecting, because he could pull like one where he's like, his body's one way and his arm just comes over the top. He's really lengthy too. I know his reach isn't the best, but he fights lanky. So I do think he can really put on a lot of volume. I mean, even the Daniel Marcos fight, he could have won that one. So he's been fighting pretty well recently, and I just think he just has an insane gas tank, a lot of volume, and if Blackshear doesn't go to the ground and get him on the mat, I could see him finish. Like I can see Davy Grant sneaking out a win, right? If this is 3 rounds on the feet, it can be very well, a much closer fight. But if this fight, as soon as it hits the ground, this is Damon Blackshear's land, and he should be able to finish, with something ridiculous too. Kimura, I think he's really that good at getting something insane. Even an arm triangle, but because I think Davy Grant would be willing to scramble with him, but I think that might be where he doesn't exactly do the best. So, man, I really think this is a fascinating fight because it can go either way. I'm really hoping Blackshear can get a nice sub on his resume and kind of like really use, this to me is an evolution fight for Blackshear, right? This is like he can evolve, take a little time off, readdress the game plan, realize that like, hey, we went toe to toe with a guy, we short camp, 1 month off, maybe we didn't have the gas tank to go to the ground because Haley is a wrestler, so he didn't want to get in bad position with less of a gas tank. So let's see what Blackshear brings here. Yeah, it should be an exciting fight. I love it, but I got Blackshear here. I think Blackshear by submission, but don't be surprised if Davy Grant can snatch out something like that. Next up, we got a welterweight fight here: Muslim Salikov versus Carlos Leal. Salikov 21-5, coming off a win, versus Carlos Leal 22-6, making a return to the UAE. Keenan Song beat Salikov, and he beat Ponzinibbio after a couple losses. And Leal, was he robbed here or somewhere else last year against Fakardinov? UAE, my guy Leal was robbed at this place last year against Fakardinov. So, yeah, I like Leal KO. Carlos by any way that he means. I do think Salikov will try and stand at distance, and I think my guy Leal will just walk him down. I don't think he leaves it to the judges' scorecards. I think my guy is just juiced up, and when you watched him fight Morono, and you realize that he pumped the brakes on freaking Fakardinov too. How do you not like him against Salikov? I think it's probably one of the stronger plays of the week, stronger positions to look at into is Leal KO, just because he's a bite one, take one to get one, and he does massive damage. I think he works the body extremely well, and I think he wins minutes and moments. And yeah, I like Carlos Leal here, especially against Muslim Salikov, 42, more like 49. And Leal just peaking at 31 here. So, yeah, I like Leal. I like Leal KO. Leal 1-2 maybe. Give him 10 minutes to work. I think that's a lot of time for Leal. But I mean, Salikov could be a dog too, so that's another thing. Salikov could be a dog, taking that damage. But I mean, I just think Leal will just not stop going forward. He'll eventually work the body a little bit, and unless my guy Salikov comes in there with some nasty spinning elbow, something ridiculous to knee, I don't know, man. I don't really know how he can, something like Adesanya Pereira, dude. Next up, we got bantamweight Bryce Mitchell versus Said Nurmagomedov. Mitchell 17-4, coming off the loss to Gene Silva, forcing him down the weight bracket against Said 18-4, coming off the loss to Vinicius Oliveira in a very good fight. And yeah, this one very close on the odds, very close in what can happen. I think what's kind of the tendency and the expectation is these guys have playbooks on them, right? They're very playbook guys. They do some things very, very well, some things okay, and some things they don't excel at. We could talk a lot about this fight. I think this fight comes down to Bryce Mitchell wrestling and making any mistakes. I don't think you can make too many mistakes against Saeed, and he's gonna have to fight a really clean fight. He's gonna have to look better than Kron Gracie. And the problem is, this is not Kron Gracie. This is Saeed Nurmagomedov. And while he's not related to the Eagle and the cousins, my man is a great scrambler. He can catch you in a guillotine choke. And if you're not going to be a kickboxer winning at distance like Jonathan Martinez, you can definitely lose in terms of just scrambling, volume, control, reversals, and even just matching. He's got a little bit of a funky striking style as well. Going to hit you with a lot of spinnies, a lot of so that's where I think like Mitchell does have an edge where he can but again, this is going to come down to a fight about making mistakes, right? And I think that's why this fight is super highly contested, because it's a very high-level fight, especially Bryce coming down the bantamweight. Is he going to be gassed at all? Is he going to be carrying the power that he was at 145, more of probably a natural weight class for him? He is still pretty big of a guy, and he's going to have somewhat of a height advantage. It's got to see how clean his striking is, man. I think you could poke a lot of holes in Bryce Mitchell's resume and his career if you really want to. Like, okay, Kron Gracie, argue that he could have lost at Dan Ige. I mean, Edson Barbosa, Andre Fili. Like, we're going back here. He doesn't have too many great wins on the resume here, too. So it's like, I like Nurmagomedov here. I do have him. I think he can catch a sub, too, and get Bryce. I also think he can win Greasy on the scorecards, where it's similar to, like, Sterling Ilivoyev at, was that 300, where it's just like high-level grappling, high-level wrestling, good exchanges, very even across the board. Like, take one to give one, make a move, make a takedown attempt. And I kind of like Saeed here. I like Saeed on the money line, too. I like him to even, I don't know. I just think he can get it done. But I also like Bryce. I think Bryce's only win condition is by the judges and kind of domination that way. And when everybody's been saying that, it's like makes me want to pick Nurmagomedov. Even, I mean, I am picking him here. But like even just go heavier in terms of like, but like I just don't know if he gets to finish. Like Mitchell is easy to finish, but it's just going to be different. Like, is he going to be able? Maybe he won't make mistakes and just lose the control time and not want to get finished again, because I mean, his last three, all of his losses are by finish. And, if he goes in there and gets caught on a guillotine choke, 1 minute in, we've seen that on the playbook for Saeed. So, very live. See how the weight cut is, traveling across the world. My guy, I don't know. I like Nurmagomedov, and I really think, I think this is kind of his spot. We're going to pick him. Let's go, baby. Another matchup. I mean, there are like this fight card is like guys you can't trust and opponents that you don't want to pick either. Light heavyweight Nikita Krylov, 30-10, coming off a loss to Reyes KO. Bogdan Guskov, 17-3, coming off a win. I believe it was Elikana. I don't think he fought anybody past that. Knocked out Span, beat Zach Puga, and then got it was short. He got steamrolled by Uzdemir. Made like Uzdemir look like freaking Tom Aspinall there. He did come in on a little bit of short notice for that loss, and this is again, this is one of those things that kind of reminds me of the Black Shear Davy Grant, where there's like clear game plans. Bogdan Guskov has probably been taken down in every one of his UFC fights. And Krylov has to implement that game. If he doesn't, there's no way he can last 15 minutes here without getting cracked by Guskov's got great power, dude. I like Krylov a lot here. I think he has a clear path and a win condition. I think we can see it. But he's gonna have to implement it, man. Like he got one touch there, and Guskov can do the same thing with an uppercut if he comes in there recklessly, trying to close the distance. I really do like Guskov here. We're gonna I like Krylov. I think Krylov can get the submission, right? Like if Krylov has to run through this man in about 4 minutes, I think he has 4.5 minutes, because if he gets to the second round and can't get him down again, and, he gets hit a few times, it could be way faster than we expect. So I'm worried about how, needing that from Krylov, because last time I did that, bro let me down so much. So, I'm really against, trying to get on there. But, man, it just seems like that's kind of his win condition. 16 submission wins. You don't understand what I mean? So it's like, yeah, it's like that or Guskov KO. And, like, that's what I was saying is, like, if you watch Guskov, which I have been since the moment he made his debut against Uzdemir, which I was a fan against him. I might even picked him that night, too. But he's been plus money a lot of times, too. And he's been, you know, he's been delivering. I just don't know if he can deliver against somebody like Krylov. He's still only 33, coming off that KO loss. How long ago was that? April, so 3 months. And like I said, if my guy Guskov can crack him, he can go down. But I do think Krylov is big time for the submission. He's got a big time, like, if my guy stands there and throws anything for a little bit, and I think he can take him down and finish him. I think my guy's got negative ground game, kind of like Davy Grant. I wonder if, like, I wonder, it's going to be a crazy card to see. I have, like, a hedge parlay with Guskov KO because I did pick Krylov, like, main one. So we'll see if I don't know. I really can't see this fight going to the card. I really can't see these guys having a third round war. I think somebody gets finished in the third round too. Man, this one's super greasy too, super sweaty. I guess the official pick is Nikita Krylov. I'm gonna try and get on the reversal and the rebounds where, like, I pick a guy, he loses, and then I fade him, and then he wins. I'm going to try and avoid that, too, with this pick. And because I've been on the Guskov train, so it's going to be one where it's like, let's try and get ahead of the curve and not be like, yeah, we've gotten Guskov quite a bit, and, like, let's not try and just go to the well one more time, right? Like, that's where I kind of think there's some improvements to be made in terms of, like, the just trends and tendencies where it's just like, all right, man, I get it. Like, we love Guskov. We hit 3 in a row with him. We're pissed at Krylov, but let's give him another try. If Krylov loses here in Guskov, we'll have him covered in some sort of unit way, but yeah. It'd be by KO, Guskov, but we're going to pick Nikita Krylov. Next up, flyweight bout. Asul Almabayev, 21-3, coming off the loss. KO loss to Ipokin Kape against Jose Ochoa, 8-1, no contest, 5'7", 3 inches on the height, 2 inches on the reach, and yeah, I think this is a really close fight. Another one. I like Ochoa here. I personally want to pick him to win, but Asul Almabayev being kind of on, home turf, I think he's going to have to kind of hold him down for 2 rounds, and then Ochoa could turn on a big third round, maybe get a KO. But I do think this fight ends up sneaking to the judges' scorecards. I kind of see it go in 29-28 Asul, even if it's, he might lose the second round. I think. But if Ochoa can come out there, and I think Ochoa can win all 3 rounds on the feet, if Almabayev can take him down, it's kind of like he lost to Lauren Cavanaugh, right? And Cavanaugh really turned it on those last 2 rounds, man, because he lost that first round. And if that guy shows up, and, like, he's definitely going to take a round off of Almabayev then, right? Especially if he comes out that hot. But it's like, will he be able to keep the gas tank, the agility, and then will Almabayev take 2 and 3, right? Like, how strong of a starter here? Because it's looking like this. It's looking like Ochoa can win round 1, but then Almabayev is going to have to, kind of cake out 2 and 3 and get the dub that way, right? Maybe wrestle him down a little bit. I like the guys in hats. Almabayev, I'm always partial to the guys in hats. They usually don't wear socks, too, and it makes them ready to scrap. Looking at Nicolau, I don't see him getting a finish. He really doesn't have the best finishing game, not being able to finish Nicolau and even be able to do the damage. So it's like Almabayev has to kind of just hold him down there and get that unanimous decision. I think Ochoa has good get-up game, too. I think he will be able to get up and fight, but it's how long does it take him to do that? And I think Almabayev is pretty stocky for 125, right? I think what ends up happening is it's the Pantoja effect. Like, these low leverage center of guys are just, they're trunks, man. They're tree trunks. I think Josh Van's the same way, man. Same like Ilya. They're just tree trunks in there. They're hard to, they're like super defensive, super strong, super stout, super conditioned. And, I don't want to doubt Almabayev. I like Almabayev here. I do like Ochoa as well. I think Ochoa is going to have to win early and avoid takedowns and kind of steal the third round. But again, we're in the UAE. I like Almabayev probably to win by decision. But Ochoa is always live. Let's see what happens here. I think this one's going to be a great fight, and it could go both ways. Bang! Next up, 3 fights left here. Middleweight bout. The Pirate Sara Magomed versus Marc-Andre Barry out 15-1, coming off the loss to MVP. Barry out 17-9 in one no contest off the win against Bruno Silva. And I want to get on Barry out here, man. I really do. I want to fade the Pirate. I want to fade the one eye. I want to fade him getting knocked out. I think minus 750 is such an absurd price tag to be paying for this guy. I get it. And yeah, but the picks the Shara Bullet Magomedev over Barry out. It's like the opposite of Krylov, right? Where like I want to pick Barry out and like and catch him on an uptick, but I'm not gonna believe in it. And additionally, I don't think it gets the KO. I think I do think the Bullet probably wins by decision. I know Barry out got clipped a couple times, but that's more of you know, I mean, there's no shame in the guys that knocked him out. I really don't think Magmedev has insane power for being a middleweight. To me, if he was a welterweight, I would say he has insane power. I know he has 12 knockout losses, but I kind of see this more going like the Olashaychuk fight. And I'll never forget Bruno Silva just taking him down whim over wish in his first ever fight. So I don't think Barry out's going to implement any ground game like that. That being said, I do think he could take it to the scorecard. I think he's definitely tougher, and it should be interesting. We'll see what happens here. Definitely see what happens, but yeah. Big time. Let's go Shara Bullet here. Next up, bantamweight bout here. What are we doing, UFC? Piotr Jan, 18-5 against Marcus May McGee, 10-1. Piotr Jan coming off wins against Figueiredo and Shang Yadong. Marcus McGee coming off wins of Gaston Bolaños and Jonathan Martinez. And he really faded in that third round against Martinez. And yeah, I think he may be able to sneak around in here, but is he going to KO Piotr Jan? No chance, dude. I think that 3 rounds... I don't know how you beat Piotr Jan in a 3-round fight. I think he would need 5 and to have to catch him and get finished. And yeah, like, dude, just go check out the resume. So I just don't think Jan gets a finish, right? Is he really gonna get? How is McGee's ground game? Because he's gonna get taken down, right? I think my buddy said that Piotr Jan sub could be spicy, and I might spin down a little bit on that too, just because, by God, he's gonna get a takedown, right? Like, what's the grappling? He gets 1.6 takedowns per fight. He doesn't necessarily have the best submission game, but I can definitely see him getting a few hooks in there, doing a lot of damage and getting a finish. Dude, I actually might have talked myself into Piotr Jan sub. I got him on the point spread on a couple of my round robins here, but yeah, like, just the amount of takedowns that he's going to go after, I do think he probably gets a finish. I have him at points the whole way, but as I talk into this, I think Piotr Jan does get a finish somehow, some way. I just think he's going to make McGee make a mistake. McGee will just choose one way to lose or the other, either to not get hit or to give up his neck to protect from getting hit, or protect his neck and just get knocked out, which I kind of really do. I think it's the opposite, because he's naturally a striker. He's going to be more prone to protecting the stuff, and I think Jan could really sneak in a hook, sneak in an underhook, get a nice reversal in there too, and even be live for an arm triangle too with the athleticism. I think McGee has some decent strength for the division, but another thing that kind of worries me is if this was 5 rounds, I definitely think Piotr Jan has definitely a good chance to finish him. But yeah, I like Jan by finish. I like Jan by points. I like McGee a lot too. This is not a spot. I'm annoyed sometimes by the matchmakers, but let's just enjoy a Piotr Jan masterclass. And if he loses, we'll clap it up for McGee and we'll say USA, USA, USA. So go Jan. Last up, middleweight main event: Robert the Reaper Bobby Knuckles Whittaker against Renier de Ritter. 27-8 coming off the loss to Chimaev versus Ritter. 20-2 coming off the win against Nichols. 4-inch on the reach, 4-inch on the height, 2-inch on the legs for Robert is kind of crazy. And yeah, I tried to talk myself into Robert by a decision, just because I could see him dancing in and out, up and down, 5 rounds, just being faster. Like especially if DeRitter has no cardio, right? I can see Whittaker just dancing around for the rest of the times, but a lot of people like him KO. Which is kind of crazy because, like, besides the Aliskerov, he really hasn't KO'd nobody in a long time. So, that's why I was kind of wondering, like, dude, like his last KO before that was 2017. That's why I kind of think Robert puts on an absolute masterclass and he's gonna rebound. It kind of reminds me of after he lost to DDP, he put on Paulo Costa. And I think that was a 5-round main event, and I think everybody would say the same thing. I think Costa would have a bad gas tank that he would fade, and even if he does do a lot of damage and he might lose a round or two, I do think Robert's ground game is really good. You can look at the Chimaev loss as kind of a fortunate win, exposing a weakness in Robert's game that nobody's neglected to exploit, and it did at a bad time, and it collapsed and cost him the fight, and I think that's why we get good money. Kind of reminds me of some Volkanovski-ish. Like, I'm like, dude, we got to remember, right? Whittaker is literally only loses to champion-level UFC fighters, and I mean, I love DeRitter, and I just think now he's plus 300 the Bo Nickel, and now he's just almost a pick'em to, and I think we're getting good value on Whittaker here. I think Whittaker by decision. I don't know, Whittaker and over 2.5. I think he can get the finish, and it go a little bit longer than we expect. I think it could get kind of into the third round, and then we get a finish like 4th minute into the third round, something like that. Over 2.5 catch us there. A lot of people on the under here, and I definitely can see that. But I definitely think Robert is a super patient fighter and will do the best that he can. I mean, the one thing DeRitter can maybe lean on is like if he has a potential to bully him like Holland, but Holland's a welterweight, so no, he went to a war with Gerald Mearshart. Like I said, you get him to that Mearshart time, end of the third, 144. Robert's got a better guess. I don't know. Whittaker. We'll do a quick recap here. We'll wrap it up. I'm super excited for this fight card. We did pretty well last week with our picks, 9-5. Won a little bit of money is on the round robin. We're gonna try and do that again. We're going to start off Buchechnia. We like sub. We're going to pick win here, but I wouldn't be surprised if Yaya gets it done. I like Aslan, 1 or 2 maybe. Hebos, Damon Blackshear could get the sub. Liao, KO, Saeed, Krylov, Almabayev, Shara Bullet, Piotr Jan, and Robert Whittaker. Subscribe to the channel, chat. I'm trying to get to 100 subs. If you make it here, comment your winners in the comment section. 100% winners gives you $100. I'll send it right to you. You know, Venmo, Cash App, whatever you want. Thank you so much for watching, supporting, and tuning in. Take care of yourselves, your friends, your family, and peace and love, everybody.